you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure whether I have or not. I did have coming into the meeting tonight on the former agenda, but I don't see the article on here, but I will declare anyway. I have a pecuniary interest in correspondence, Resolution 23, Article 8, Ontario Nurses, page 5556. Reason being, my daughter, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter are all Ontario registered nurses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Max. So noted. The minutes from March 17th, any errors or omissions? Mover and second for the minutes. Simon, Lewis, all in favor?
Thank you. Yes, so this minor variance is to allow for a detached accessory structure, so a garage or shed in the front yard of a residential lot. So this is in Copenhagen. If I could direct the committee and those online to page 26 of our agenda this evening, we've prepared a report photo that illustrates or shows the lot in yellow, and the location of the proposed garage, which would be part within the front yard of the dwelling. So in residential zones and in residential neighborhoods, we seek to have houses in front yards, not detached accessory buildings. And that's to maintain character of the neighborhood, as well as when neighbors are looking along the street line, they're seeing houses in driveways and not detached structures that punch out. In this instance, however, the property, and as we can see on this report photo, the westerly and front lot line there's a hedgerow of mature tall cedar trees. So this structure won't be seen with those cedar trees being there. Even if the trees aren't, it's a very low density hamlet residential neighborhood, and what they're seeking to build is appropriate in architecture and won't have any impact on operations. What the report does speak to, and on this page, is the approximate location of the McDonald drain. So our zoning bylaw does require that there's sufficient distance for maintenance and access purposes in the event that maintenance needs to be done on this drain. It's a buried drain. So the location as shown on the sketch was not the applicant's desired location, but in consultation with the applicants in township staff and our drainage superintendent, it has been adjusted so to meet that 3.5 meter setback. It's recommended in the conditions, if the council desires to approve this, that the location, so a surveyor attend the site and stake 3.5 meters from the center line of the drain to the proposed structure, so that there is indeed 3.5 meters. And then the other two conditions are rather appropriate, that the building permit be issued within 2 years, or this approval would lapse, and that the construction be done as per the details shown in the drawings provided with the application. So unless there's any further comments or questions from committee members or those in the audience, there's nothing further to add to our assistant planner's report.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Is the applicant or agent online? I don't see anything. Allison, was there any comments received from outside agencies or landowners?
Through your worship, there was nothing added other than what was stated already in the report.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? No. There is a recommendation from staff. So mover and seconder for that recommendation. Mover, Serna, all in favor? Carried. And a mover and seconder of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Malahide be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:38. Jagger and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have a zoning bylaw amendment, application of John Lowen relating to the property located at lot 23 and 24, concession North Gore, known as 51432 Willieville Line. Be called to order at 7:38. Moving seconder. Lewis and Widner, all in favor, carried. Alice, can you advise to confirm the method and date of notice, please?
Yes, through your worship. It was advertised in the Elmer Express on the dates of March 16th and 23rd, as well as sent to property owners and agencies within the 120 meters by first-class mail.
Okay, thank you. Adam, you give us an overview.
Thank you, your worship. We do have our consultant planners from Monteith Brown who are handling this application. I would like to introduce to council Eric Steele. So as council is aware, Dan Smith is entering retirement. He's been the individual who's been providing most of the services for Monteith Brown to the township. Eric is new to the firm, and I'd like to introduce council to Eric, and Eric will be able to present the report.
Okay, Eric, please repeat the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So tonight before council is a zoning bylaw amendment for property located on Willieville Line. It's an agricultural parcel, and it's currently has a site-specific zoning, large lot agricultural A3-4, which permits a truck repair facility, in addition to the typical agricultural uses that are permitted under the A3 zone. And so currently the applicant is proposing to remove this site-specific amendment from the current property, as the owners are looking to convey this land to a neighboring farmer who is not interested in continuing with the truck repair facility use. And so effectively it would remove that site-specific amendment and return to an A3 general zone. And given that the land is currently used and will continue to be used for agricultural purposes, we're satisfied that it conforms with all the policies under the provincial and county and local official plans regarding agricultural uses. And no concerns have been raised from agencies or public prior to the filing of this report. And so staff are recommending that the subject lands be rezoned from large lot agricultural special A3-4 to large lot agricultural A3 as permitted.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Is the agent or applicant online?
Yes, Dave Rowe, I'm here.
Go ahead, Dave, if you have any comments.
Yeah, this property is subject to a severance, and it's going to be, the farmland is going to be conveyed to John Walker, Walker Farms, which is the adjacent property owner, and will be added to his farm operation. The way the current zoning is, it only permits the farm owner and one employee, and I don't think John Walker's about to get into the truck repair business. So the present zoning on the property would not be appropriate. So our application was to remove the zoning, special zoning for the truck repair from this property, and then we have a subsequent application to permit a small trucking and a truck repair business on the property located up on Glen Collin Line. So the two applications are actually going hand in hand. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, David. Any questions from council on this application? Seeing none, there's a number of recommendations. Mover and second of the public meeting concerning zoning bylaw amendment application of John Lowen relating to the property located at lot 23-24, concession North Gore, be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:43. And seconder, Serta and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. And mover and second report number DS 2216 entitled zoning bylaw amendment application of John Lowen be received. the zoning bylaw amendment application D14 Z01-22 of John Lowen related to property located at lot 2324, concession North Gore, known as 51432 Woolleyville line be approved for the reasons set out in this report. Brewer and Jager, all in favor? Carried. And finally, mover and second of bylaw number 22-21, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1822 insofar as it relates to property owned by John Lowen located at lot 2324, concession North Gore, be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed. Lewis and Widner, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have another zoning bylaw amendment, application by John Lowen relating part lot 23, concession North Gore, part lot 4 on reference plans 11R7037, known as 51477 Glen Colin line. We call to order at 7:44. Mover and seconder. Cerna, Widner, all in favor? Carried. Purpose of this zoning change is to change the zoning from general agriculture A1 zone to site-specific general agriculture A1 20H1 zone. Submitted by John Lowen and David Rose, the applicant or the agent. Part lot 23, concession North Gore. Part lot 4, reference plans 11R07037, known as 51447 Glen Colin line. Alice, can you confirm the method and date of notice, please?
Yes, through your worship, notice of the meeting was given in the prescribed manner by publication in the Elmer Express on March 16th and March 23rd. In addition, property owners within 120 meters were sent a notice by first-class mail.
Thank you. Is Eric doing this as well? Eric, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So as Mr. Rowe has mentioned, this application is related to the one that was previously just before council. It's been on behalf of the Lowens for a property that fronts is adjacent to the north of the property on Woolleyville line, and this property fronts on Glen Colin line. And so the owners also operate a produce trucking and truck repair business on this property and use it to service their own trucking vehicles as well as truck produce for farmers in the surrounding area. And so the existing truck repair facility was established approximately around 2012. However, it's not a permitted use under the current A1 zoning. And so as condition of 2 previous severance applications that applied to the property, it was identified that planning applications were required to bring it into conformity. And so this application would propose to apply the same site-specific zoning provisions that are currently or were currently placed on Woolleyville line, which would include permitting the truck business and truck repair facility, in addition to all the uses under the A1 zone. And it also includes site-specific provisions for prohibiting outdoor storage in the front yard, limiting the use of area of a maximum of 2 acres, restricting the maximum number of trucks to 10, and restricting the maximum number of employees other than the owner to 1. And so together, the 2 zoning bylaw amendment applications would have the effect of essentially moving the truck repair facility from the property on Woolleyville line and establishing it under the zoning on the property on Glen Colin line. The provincial policy statement, county official plan, local official plan all have requirements for establishing what are called on-farm diversified uses or secondary uses. And this ensures that the proposed uses are limited in area and scale, as well as ensures that it remains secondary to the agriculture use that's currently on the property and does not impact it in any way. And so staff are satisfied that the proposed use is able to meet these policies through the proposed zoning amendment, as well as through site plan control. No concerns have been raised from agencies or public prior to submission of this report. And so staff are recommending that the subject lands be rezoned from general agricultural to general agricultural special to permit the use in addition to the site-specific provisions regarding outdoor storage and limiting the site and scale of the proposal. And that concludes our presentation. I'm happy to take any questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Dave, do you have anything to add on this one?
No, I don't. Everything was covered off very well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council on this application? None. Mover and seconder, public meeting concerning zoning and bylaw amendment, application of John Lowen relating part lot 23, concession North Gore, part lot 4 and reference plan 11R7037 be adjourned. Council reconvene at 7:48. Moore and Lewis, all in favor, carried. And mover and seconder, a public meeting concerning zoning bylaw amendment application of John Lowen related part lot 23, concession North Gore, part lot 4 and reference plan, and be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:49. The report number DS 2215 entitled zoning bylaw amendment application of John Lowen be received. And the zoning bylaw amendment application number D14Z02-22 of John Lowen relating to the property located at lot 23, concession North Gore, part lot 4 and reference plan 11R7037, known as 51477 Glencoe line be approved for the reasons set out in this report. Sarna and Glinsky, all in favor, carried. And finally, mover and seconder, bylaw number 22-22 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1822 insofar as to release the property owned by John Lowen located at lot 23, concession North Gore, part lot 4 and reference plans 11R7037 be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed. Widner and Jair, all in favor, carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good night. Okay, Sam, is Sam? There he is. Hi, Sam. You've got a report for us tonight?
Yes,
Two
good evening, your
reports.
worship and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. So I've got before you the Malahide Water Distribution Drinking Water Quality Trends and Management Review report this evening. So the purpose of the report relates to the QMS system, and on an annual basis, the operating authority, being Aqua, review with staff and are required to submit a drinking water quality trends report for the Malahide water system. And that report is reviewed with staff as the owner representative, which is a requirement of element 20 of the management review of the QMS operational plan. And staff met virtually on February 3rd with Aqua to conduct the annual management review. The meeting minutes are attached for council's information. And the attached report of water quality trends outlines the various parameters and water quality trends that were monitored and observed in the previous year in the Malahide water system. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Questions for Sam on the first one, the water distribution and drinking water quality? Seeing none. Mover and seconder, report number PW 2209 entitled Malahide Water Distribution Drinking Water Quality Trends Management Review, DW QMS Operations and Plan be received. Jager and Lewis, all in favor, carried. And the next one on wastewater, Sam.
Yes, thank you. Through you, your worship, the 2021 Springfield wastewater collection system performance report is brought before you. It outlines the various maintenance that was taking place throughout the year and the annual flows that were observed. And as we'll note, in 2021, we saw a slight increase with the total volume just being over 98,000 cubic meters. Additionally, in 2020, in October of 2020, the newly constructed OPC sewage pump station came into operation. So 2021 was the first full year of that station being in operation with the transfer of ownership from the province to the township. And so that facility is also being operated by Aqua. And the performance report for the OPC facility is also attached for council's information. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on these reports.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Any questions on the wastewater collection system? Seeing none, mover and seconder, report number PW-2216 entitled Malahide Wastewater Collection System 2021 performance review be received. Moore and Lewis, all in favor? Carried. And the last one, Sam, on the water distribution system.
Yes, thank you through your worship. Additionally, so this report is the Malahide Water Distribution System 2021 fourth quarter operations report. It essentially outlines in greater detail the third and fourth quarter, but it provides an overall summary of the maintenance and activities that were performed, as well as the updates that were undertaken on the QEMS and the MEC inspection in 2021, which was again 100% for the Malahide water system. So there's a lot of information within the report, and generally speaking, the Malahide water system performed well throughout the year. And there were alarms throughout the year at various times, which is common for this type of work. And all were able to receive a prompt response and find a resolution. So nothing major to report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Questions for Sam on the water distribution system? Seeing none. Mover and seconder, report number PW-22 entitled Malahide Water Distribution System 2021 fourth quarter operation be received. Whitner and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Sam. You never get any questions. I think it's largely because you're so efficient at what you do, and you've always kept us in a safe range. So thank you for doing that for us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And no, I try to be as thorough as I can. And yes, so thank you and have a great evening.
All right. Good night, Sam.
Good night.
Okay, next we got a severance, and Eric, are you back?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
There's this, the Hayho severance. Comments?
Yes, so this application is for 52947 Calton Line.
You frozen?
Maybe I can.
Can members of council hear me?
Okay, you're good now.
So this consent application is for 52947 Calton Line. And so this consent application, along with another application E15-22, which is also before council tonight, is to sever a surplus farm dwelling off of an agricultural parcel. And so the subject property currently contains 2 existing dwellings, a barn and 3 accessory sheds located at the north end of the property along Calton Line, and the remainder of the property is used for agricultural purposes. And so the applicant is proposing to convey the agricultural land to another farmer and sever the 2 existing dwellings individually and have them conveyed. And so staff are satisfied that the proposed severance meets the applicable criteria under the PPS, the county official plan, and the local official plan, provided that the severed parcel is rezoned to a special zoning A4, and the retained land is rezoned to prohibit residential uses and the construction of a dwelling in the future. And staff would note for council that the official plan policies do not prohibit more than 1 surplus farm dwelling from being severed from a property. And so staff are recommending that the consent application be supported along with the recommended conditions. I have to take any questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Questions for Eric on this severance application? Recommendation, mover and seconder for the recommendation before you. Mover and second for the recommendation. Javier and Moore, all in favor?
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
if
Jeff.
I may,
Go ahead, Jeff.
was that a surplus dwelling, or is that just removing it so that it can be sold to another person?
I think it's considered a surplus farm dwelling, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And there's two, well, there's a second application coming up before you.
Yeah.
There's two houses on the same property.
Okay, but the land's not being conveyed to anybody different.
The owners are keeping the land and they're severing off the two surplus farmhouses.
Okay, that's not what I thought I heard, so that's why I questioned. Thank
Okay.
you.
No, no problem. Okay, Eric, I mean, very similar to the second one, but go ahead.
Yes, just briefly, just to summarize, this is application to sever the second surplus farm dwelling that's located on the property. And again, staff had that this proposed severance would meet the applicable severance criteria under the PPS and county local official plans, and I recommend support of this application.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any questions on the second application? Recommendation before you, mover and seconder for the recommendation. Cerna and Galinsky, all in favor? Carried. And Eric, you're doing the Howe one as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, carry on.
This application is for a lot boundary adjustment. And so the subject property is an agricultural parcel that fronts onto Roger Road and currently contains a single detached dwelling and a barn. And so the applicant is proposing to convey a portion of his land to an adjacent landowner, in effect of moving the lot boundary as currently on the proposed enlarged parcel. Portion of the driveway, lawn, and also an existing barn are actually located over top of the existing property line. And so this application would have the effect of ensuring that all of these are located on the same property and no new lot is being proposed to be created. The planning policies do permit lot additions or lot boundary adjustments in all designations as long as the creation of a new lot is not proposed. And while portions of the subject property are located within a natural heritage feature, since the proposal isn't going to create a new lot or any new development, there would be no anticipated impacts on these natural heritage features. And so staff note that the effect of enlarging the parcel, since the property is zoned A1 general agriculture, it does have a minimum lot area requirement of 20 hectares, whereas the proposed enlarged parcel would have an area of 4.16 hectares. And so as a condition of severance, staff are recommending that a rezoning amendment be applied in order to permit a reduced lot area for this parcel. As of date of the submission of this report, there were no concerns raised from agencies or members of the public. And so staff are recommending that the proposed consent application be supported along with proposed conditions.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric on this application? Seeing none. Mover and seconder, report number DS 2219 entitled application for consent to sever G&M Howe and Sons be received. Application for consent to sever G&M Howe and Sons Limited relating to the property at Part Lot 5, Concession 5, Geographic Township Malahide, 7077 Rogers Road be supported for the reasons set out in this report. This report be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration. Galinsky and Serna, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Eric.
One more.
Oh, there is one more. Oh, yes, that's right. Pardon me? Okay, last one, Eric. This is on the Open Bible Baptist Church.
Yes, this is application for 9060 Hacienda Road. And so currently the subject property currently contains Open Bible Baptist Church and an accessory building. And so the proposal is to sever a portion of the property that currently contains a small woodlot for the purposes of creating a residential lot and to permit the construction of a single detached dwelling. And so the policies under the provincial policy statement and the local and county official plans only permit services in agriculture areas for the purpose of serving a surplus farm dwelling. And so in this case, since the property is designated as agricultural area, it would not permit the creation of a residential lot since it wouldn't be surplus to an existing farm operation. And so therefore would not be in conformity with the provincial or municipal policies. And so staff are recommending that the proposed consent not be supported. Happy to take any questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric on this application? None. Mover and second, report number DS 2220 entitled Application for Consent to Sever of Susan Weeb on behalf of Open Bible Baptist Church be received. The application to the consent to sever of Susan Weeb on behalf of the Open Bible Baptist Church relating to the property located in part lot 89 concession NTRS geographic township of Malahide 9060 Hacienda Road not be supported for the reasons set out herein. This report before the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration. Second, Lewis and Jagger, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next we have a Lakeview Drive limiting distance agreement. So Scott, there he is. Floor is yours, Scott.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Tonight before you, I have a report regarding a limiting distance agreement for the property located at 3311 Lakeview Drive in Port Bruce. The reason for this agreement is basically the property owner at 3311 Lakeview Drive is proposing to build or tear down an existing cottage there and build a new one. They're looking to have this agreement in place because of the new cottage. They're looking to maximize the view of the lake, and they're looking to have a lot of large windows facing the lake. The Ontario Building Code restricts the number of windows based on the setback from the property line, but it also does allow for these agreements in these cases to increase those window sizes. The location of this property, as you can see on the photo on the report, abuts a large steep bank that's vegetated and wouldn't permit any buildings to be built there anyways for the neighboring property. So I don't see any issues with the neighboring property owner with this agreement. The agreement wouldn't allow them to build very close, but they wouldn't be able to anyways. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Any questions for Scott on this application? Seeing none, mover and second, report number DS 2221 entitled 3311 Lakeview Drive limiting distance agreement be received. Council approved the limiting distance agreement. Mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the agreement. Sir, or did you have a question? No, you're moving it. Seconded by Lewis, all in favor? Carried. I'm sure you'll get some brownie points now, Rick.
That's right.
So which Adam is looking at this one? Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this report has to deal with awarding a contract for a proposed shared development approval service business plan, and that would be potentially with the municipality of BAM. If council would recall, in 2020, we received modernization funding and completed a service delivery and organization review. And one of the recommendations in that review was to look at exploring consolidating development approval services, being building, potentially planning and bylaw enforcement with a neighboring municipality, so to improve efficiencies in that respect. Council will also recall that we reached out to our neighboring municipalities to see if there's willing partnership, and BAM council certainly provided a resolution that they are interested in exploring this potential service. We issued an RFP. We had unfortunately just one bidder to the RFP. Fortunately, however, it's a well-experienced firm that deals with these development approval process studies. I did note in my report that the cost exceeded what we were expecting to see, but under the financial implications of my report, that such will still be covered. The 75% will still be covered by the provincial allocation in that respect, and we do have funding in our reserves to cover the remaining 25%. If there's any questions from council, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Questions for Adam on this report? Dominique?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a couple of questions. So if I recall, so this is the same firm who actually completed the service delivery review. So, and they made this recommendation. So to me, that makes sense that they get to go further and explore this with us. My second question is, presuming the deliverables are in stages, if at some point as they map out current state and what the agreement could look like, we don't agree, is it staged in a way where we can stop and not be on the hook for the full amount if we stop halfway through or partway through?
Thank you. Through your worship. What I think that's a great point. So in principle, obviously, if either council does not want to enter into an agreement, that's certainly one thing. But at any stage through the process, and in my experience of dealing with consultants on some of these RFPs, they do send us invoices at every hurdle or stage along the way. What I can do is formalize that if it's not already into the contract agreement, into the contract document, that will stipulate that if one or both parties disagree to proceed any further, that the project would end at that point.
Okay. Any other questions for Adam? Chess.
The most that we're going to be on the hook for here is 7,000. Is that correct?
Or 25%.
So it's stated. I think if it may not be implicitly stated, but we would take the balance of it would be just under $10,000. That was through you, your worship. That was the original estimate when we were expecting that the cost would be 35,000. But now that it's the project is or the submitted bid is increased, our share could be a little higher.
Okay, Jess, go ahead.
The question, if I may, BAM doesn't have to pay.
No. Any other questions for Adam on this application? We'll move on to the second report, number CAO 2203, entitled Award for Shared Development Approval Service Business Plan, Electronic Processing be received. Project for review and service framework for the shared land use planning, building development permits, bylaw enforcement services be awarded to Performance Concepts Consulting, Inc. of Uxbridge, Ontario, at expected cost partially funded by the province of Ontario at $48,000 plus HST. And the chief administrative officer be authorized and directed to take the necessary action to enter an agreement with Performance Concept Consulting to undertake the project as set out in the proposal. Seconder, Lewis, seconder, Lure, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have committees and outside boards. There's two, one from the Malahide Budget Committee on March 15th. And the second one is from the Elgin Correspondence on March 17th of the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee. Any questions or comments on either one of those? Dominique?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so I hope everybody had a chance to review the report, which is really good news from a challenging fundraising environment. But I reiterate that there's room on the committee. So any of you are welcome to join me on this, the best committee in town. But also, I mean, if you know anyone in the community you would like to invite, you would like to nudge, often we know volunteers need just a little nudge or personal invitation. I would really appreciate that through your network in the community, if you would invite committee members or volunteers. So happy to answer any question on that.
Okay, thanks, Dominique. And certainly you had a very successful year in 2021 with fundraising, so congratulations on that. Any questions for Dominique or on either one of these reports? Mover and seconder, receive and file then, please. Lewis and Glinsky, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have correspondence, and there's 8 items on the correspondence. And Max, you indicated you're going to declare a conflict. Anyone wish to make comment or support on any of these 8 items? Certainly in Max's absence, I would recommend that we support number 8. The nurses in the last 2 years have been overworked at every level, and certainly they deserve probably a lot more credit than what they're getting. And they're asking for support to repeal the Bill 124, and I would certainly support that. So I see a lot of heads nodding, and so support for number 8. Anything else on these? The correspondence? Seeing none. Mover and seconder, we support number 8 and receive and file the balance. Jager and Cerna, all in favor? Carried. Let's get Max out there. Now we're at other business. Any other business that anyone wishes to bring up? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if you got the same email I got today. I don't know if you got the same email I got today, but there's a member of, I guess, South Dorchester School Committee.
Yes, I did see
And
that
they're
one.
very
yeah.
concerned that the school is going to be basically maybe overcrowded. There won't be proper fire, proper sanitation, enough room for, and there's I guess the handicap access isn't in place. So I think they have talked to the school board and they're not getting any success there. I don't know if we can send a letter off to the school board requesting some answers, maybe just inquiries. I don't know if we can do anything or not, but
I think we can send a letter off, related to the concerns of these are obviously residents and parents of children going to the school. And I think, I don't have it before me, but it was set up for 178. Now they're well over 300 and on the same framework and are anticipating more children coming in from Westminster. So I think we can send a letter off to the school board and also CC our 2 representatives from Elgin County. And so they're well aware of it. And so that they can bring that up at the school board level. So certainly we can do that, Mark.
okay, thank you. I mean, they considered parking on the road and we were dead against that when we changed the speed limit. Now they want to bring it back and probably the worst thing they could be doing. So, thank you.
Anything else under other business? Just,
Mayor Manal, what is the status of the school in Belmont at this point?
what they have told us, or at least the individual that sent the email indicated this could be 4 years before the school in Belmont is ready to take children. So it's a significant delay. And then I think in the meantime, Westminster is closed down. Does anyone know about that?
So it says, I heard.
Yeah. And so there's children going, some of them are probably going to be coming to South Dorchester from Westminster. So overcrowding for sure. Rick?
Again, that, I don't know if it's school board's decision or not, but it does, again, doesn't make sense to me that you close the school down because it doesn't have enough kids and put it into school now it's overcrowded. Because you said it was set up for 178, now it's at 300. But then keep the other school open for 4 years until the other ones are ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like,
think
it's
that-
just common sense.
I think that's why we want to send a letter to see. This is a school board's problem to solve, not to, and certainly we can be the instigator to help them to move this forward. But yeah, I think they have to take a second look at it. Dominic?
Just a quick question from a process or procedure. At which point in a situation like this would the municipality be involved? Like, is there a role in terms of sanitation, for example, or inspection or fire inspection?
Through you, your worship, if they're looking to place portable classroom units on the property, that would trigger, potentially trigger, and we can confirm this as part of the but this has gone back. I know this question has popped up, but it may trigger site plan control. So that process will be one where the township will have the ability to weigh in on whether, and if it's going through site plan control, it's whether it's the septic system and the sanitary on site is appropriate for that number of students and et cetera. So I hope that answers your question.
Mayor Manel, how many portables are there now? Did the letter say?
Mark's got the letter in front of him.
It says at this point, we're looking at 7 portables.
7 portables.
The interstate portables are nice when we're bringing school structure. There'll be no increase for washroom or parking, and there'll be no accessible washroom for those required. I mean, I guess what we look at portables, are they part of, that's when we can get in and actually say something?
Through your worship, I believe they may have one portable. If there's not many, but if you're bringing 7 in, that's certainly going to trigger quote unquote development under our site plan control bylaw. So through that process, saying just saying that the facilities are sufficient, it may not be enough for a site plan approval process. We may need confirmation from qualified experts who deal with septic systems or wells, that sort of thing. So.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving to bylaws. Mover and seconder bylaw number 22-14 being a bylaw to amend the procedural bylaw 17-97 in regard to the inaugural meeting date, be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed. Lewis and Moore, all in favor? Carried. And mover and seconder bylaw number 22-19 being a bylaw to delegate executive authority to the chief administrative officer for decisions in the event that council find itself subject to section 275 of the Municipal Act regarding the Restrictions Act after nomination, be given a first, second, third reading and properly signed and sealed. Cerno and Winter, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 22-20 being a bylaw to authorize a limiting distance agreement with property 3311 Lakeview Drive, be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed. Cerno and Kalinsky, all in favor? Carried. And moving seconder, the council moving the closed session at 8:23. Pursuant to section 239-2 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, to discuss the following: labor relation and employee negotiation matter relating to staff recruitment matter. Winner, Jager, all in favor? Carried. We're good. Okay, during our closed session, the council provided direction to municipal staff regarding a labor relation or employee negotiation relating to a staff recruitment matter, and there's nothing further to report. And moving seconder, bylaw number 22-23 being a confirmatory bylaw, be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed. Widner and Serna, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And finally, council adjourned its meeting at 8:32. Meet again on April 21st at 7:30. Linsky and Widner, all in favor? Carried.